2019 has been a rough year for a lot of AAA game publishers. Electronic Arts continues their greedy ways, Activision Blizzard just gets a lot worse, and Bethesda has really just done a lot of things that I think a lot of people never expected, but this is the company who they are right now, and it really makes me concerned for the future. But Bethesda has been dealing with the fallout for Fallout 76, a game that really should have been delayed. It needed more development time, and a lot of the design decisions just come off as lazy. Like, there's core Fallout features that should have been there day one, not later this year. But I will admit they have been improving the game, and it seems like they are winning back some players and keeping dedicated fans happy, but there's just been a lot of mistakes made. We're going to be discussing more of that today with Fallout 76. But on the flip side of things, Bethesda as the publisher, they've also been dealing with two releases that just did not go well. The first being Rage 2, a game that it had a lot of excitement behind it, but it did not translate into sales. And reviews of the game were they were mostly positive, but they were a little bit more mixed than you would expect. But either way, Rage 2, just not a big seller for Bethesda. And then we have Wolfenstein Youngblood, a game that I'd say it's more mixed to negative, and a lot of people just were not happy with the direction that Machine Games was going with, and that is reflected in sales. On the PlayStation 4, data coming from Gamstat.com, it appears that the game has only sold 120,000 copies. That is not good. But this all really paints a future of Bethesda that I'm concerned about, because I really do think that they are going to be doubling down on macrotransactions and monetization systems. This was something that I talked about months ago, because they've been hiring a lot of monetization experts, and I really do think that they want to embrace that Ubisoft-like system, where it's maybe not multiplayer games, but there are single-player games with ways to make revenue after release. Macrotransactions. Microtransactions should be a term that goes away. Macrotransactions, that's the term that everybody needs to start using. But nonetheless, if you do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe for more gaming news like this, and turn notifications on so you do not miss out on any new videos. So I first want to start here. The Fallout 76 community I would say it was in a good place, but a lot of people just are not happy with how Bethesda has been supporting this game. I will say it's really not comparable to BioWare's support for Anthem, which has just been, the game's about dead, and I really do think the announcement from Electronic Arts is near, but that's for a video for another day. But for right now, Fallout 76 has been facing a lot of criticism for bugs. This is something that there's a big issue with this game because there is no test server. So when these updates go live, there's just a lot of issues that emerge, like game-breaking bugs. And this is one of the big posts that just went viral a few days ago. I'm getting tired of everyone losing their crap when Bethesda releases a "sorry, we'll look into it, blah blah blah" statement, saying they acknowledge things doesn't actually fix anything. They've acknowledged time and time again that the Mire dailies aren't working, but still nothing, not even a single word in their newest statement. What a modder could fix within a week takes Bethesda over 6 months. That's true in a lot of senses. Any other gaming company would have been lynched at this point. An entire massive region that's simply broken, but I guess we're cool with that, as long as we keep getting 20 Atom Store bundles, I suppose. People lose their entire inventory, but sorry, we can't restore accounts. Granted, I have not been affected by this issue, and it could be a load of crap, but Bethesda's statement about it, that's the real bummer. I've never heard of an online game that doesn't have the tools to restore accounts. Who works there? Monkeys and duckies, and I'll leave that statement there. There's just a lot of people that are unhappy with how Bethesda has been supporting Fallout 76, and I've documented for months all the technical issues, and they've continued. It's just that people have become, I guess you could say, normalized to this behavior when that should never be acceptable. Now, I want to shift to an Atomic Shop weapon that I consider a major issue, and it's been implemented in a very weird way. I would say it's a gray area, which I swear all these macrotransactions are always in a gray area, where you'll have one side trying to argue, oh, it's not a big deal, but it really is a big deal. So we already know Bethesda has broken the promise of keeping the game cosmetic only. We've talked about that for months. But it seems like they've been slowly implementing certain weapons that I guess you could call them skins, but they're not really skins. They actually are their own weapons. And this is the case with the Invader. It's like an alien's combat knife weapon, something of those lines. It was originally labeled as a baton, but it's not that. It has the exact animations of the combat knife, but it's not the combat knife. It's its own unique weapon, and it's labeled like that in the actual actual Atomic Shop store. And you can see some of the other weapon skins, they are actually labeled as weapon skin, and even the description labels them as weapon skins, but the Invader, not that way. It's labeled as a weapon. So Bethesda knows what they are doing, and that's not the first time that they've done this. They did this a while ago with the Imposter, Sheep Squatch, a Soltron head, and they got some heat for that, but here they are doing it again. And this is something that I did not want to let them get away with. It has not received a lot of attention, and it needs to be discussed. But there is one comment from one user that I think perfectly sums up all of this. In the beginning, the Atomic Shop was created. This has made a lot of people very angry and been widely regarded as a bad move, but Bethesda said it would be cosmetic only, so people were okay with it. Servers cost money to run after all, the common excuse these publishers use. Then we got repair kits. Poof, that's not pay to win, it can't possibly get worse. Besides, they drop in game, right? Apologists made excuses, realists who have seen it happen before said it would get worse. Then we got scrap kits. Pay to win? Nah, they're just a minor convenience boost. They don't drop in game this time though, and of course the apologists made excuses. Realists who have seen it happen before said it would get worse. And now, we have an actual functioning weapon in the store. Is it good? Not particularly. Not yet. Once again, there are Bethesda apologists claiming it's not a big deal, and then there are a few of us saying that it will be absolutely 100% continuing to get worse. Slippery slope is slippery, and Bethesda is taking us all for a ride. And that is the perfect summary of Bethesda's monetization strategy with Fallout 76. They're normalizing this behavior. First, it starts out with some outrage, some backlash, and then people just get used to it, and they're like, it's not a big deal. Oh, it will be a big deal when Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6 get this same exact treatment, and people are like, oh, cosmetic microtransactions aren't that big, and in Elder Scrolls and Starfield single-player experience, it is a big deal. And that's why I take a big issue with publishers like Ubisoft to do the exact same thing with their games, and people just don't really care. And I think that's the future with Bethesda games, and I think that's the future that Bethesda leadership wants. But an important reminder, Bethesda's leadership said this about the repair kits a few months ago to PC Gamer. We believed the repair kits were a convenience item for people who didn't want to grind for adhesive and other things, and it was just a way for them to basically shortcut game systems, definitely not pay to win. And there is a huge problem within that statement that really just, I feel like a lot of people don't look at it enough, because now we have an actual weapon. Even though it looks like it's kind of like a reskin of the combat knife, it still is an actual new weapon. No matter what way you look at it, it is a new weapon, and that should not be acceptable at all. And it doesn't even make sense with a statement like this if you look at it. It's a new weapon, there's no reason why it should be there, but Bethesda's implementing it because they want more money from their Microtransaction Atomic Shop store. And that's going to keep on happening, especially with bigger content coming, like the Wastelanders update. I said it a few months ago, they are creating solutions in the form of macrotransactions. That was the case with the repair and scrap kits, which only exist because of Bethesda's flawed design choices, but remember the cosmetic promise and why it was broken. For apparent player convenience, which could have been made outside of the monetization store, but I guess Bethesda leadership did not consider that, and with this weapon, I would love to hear their excuse for adding that to their store. But now I want to shift gears to Fallout 4 and Skyrim. One of the issues that it appears Bethesda's leadership have with these single-player experiences is that they are not live services, and there's really no way to engage with these audiences. And why is that an issue? Well, Fallout 4 and Skyrim are played by a lot of people still today. If you actually check the most played Xbox One games right now, Fallout 4 and Skyrim actually have more players than Fallout 76, and in the eyes of Bethesda's leadership, it's kind of like, how do we monetize that? How do we continue making money? And that's really why the Creation Club exists, and it's expanding. But it's important to understand that everything I'm saying right now has really been reflected by Todd Howard back in June to IGN in an interview. Let me play his specific comments that he says to them, which kind of confirm this belief that I have.
Which is, if you look at a Skyrim and Fallout 4, those things, the amount of people that play those games still is, I mean, you can look it up on this. It's staggering.
Yeah.
Millions and millions of people every month playing those games, and we have no touch point with them.
Right.
Right? It's just like, we ship the game, we do some mod stuff, but here you go. And so 76 was also, we need to learn how to be engaging and being able.
Now look, I have zero problem with Bethesda trying to add new content to Fallout 4 and Skyrim. I actually think that could be a lot of fun for a lot of those who still play it today. Although, what I do have an issue with is some of the things that they've done with Fallout 4 and Skyrim. Like, the pricing with the Creation Club is absurd, and it's also been reflected with the Atomic Shop. I don't understand why skins are like $18, and then we even have a dungeon that was added to Skyrim, and I think it's like $15. I don't know why it's a quarter of the cost of a full-price AAA experience. I don't understand the pricing of any of these AAA game publishers with any of their games. Although, on second thought, by pausing this video, I think it's kind of clear. It's just greed, and that's the problem with this AAA industry, and why I think change is needed. But as we've discussed earlier in this video, Fallout 76 the macrotransactions are continuing, and there's also been issues as of recent, like bundling items and just trying to find ways to get the most money out of players. Anyway, there is one piece of content on this Creation Club that has been announced that is very controversial, and it's nostalgia, selling nostalgia. Everybody's asking for Fallout 3 remastered, but Bethesda, well, they're going to give you some of that, but it's going to be new content, and it's going to be Creation Club content that's probably going to be overpriced, but selling nostalgia, that's what they're doing. To the Creation Club, this is the content that's coming very soon that is controversial. Fight the good fight in the Capital Wasteland. Travel to GNR Plaza in DC to stop an incursion of Commonwealth mercenaries attracted by an unfortunate call for aid. This is one of our biggest Fallout 4 adventures yet, and includes over 8 new armors inspired by Fallout 3. It certainly is one way to attract people who love the Fallout franchise, selling them bits and pieces of Fallout 3, and a lot from the Bethesda community are not happy about this decision, and there are some interesting things that need to be mentioned. Like, not so long ago, it was actually March of 2018, the Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 Capital Wasteland mod project was cancelled because of some of the legal issues that Bethesda notified the modders of, or at least they contacted Bethesda and said that they couldn't include some of the voice acting or all of the voice acting, so they would have to record their own lines. I know that the Fallout 4 New Vegas mod decided to do that, but Fallout 3 they could not do that, and the project ended up being cancelled. It was eventually revived, actually right at the end of 2018, with the team going the Fallout 4 New Vegas route of recording all new dialogue to avoid the wrath of Bethesda's lawyers. But what's so interesting and a complete coincidence is that just a few months ago new footage was revealed from the mod, which shows the GNR building plaza, and now here's Bethesda with their own new content, which will likely be extremely overpriced, cashing in on nostalgia, and fans wanted for the longest time an official Fallout 3 remaster, but I guess this is what they get instead. Just very, very interesting, this Creation Club content choice, and the lead developer on the Capital Wasteland mod actually thought so as well. Understandable his frustration with the timing of all of this, and at the very least, he was told by Bethesda they weren't copying content, which I guess that's a good thing, and you really do have to take their word for it. So it's just all a very big coincidence, and I don't know if you can call that a coincidence, honestly, just knowing all the track history of Bethesda with modders. Obviously with Far Harbor there was a mission that was almost entirely taken from a mod that I believe was in Fallout New Vegas, and Bethesda, what they said was it was just a complete coincidence. And then even some of the Creation Club items that were made for Fallout 4, a lot of them were made by modders before, and they were also a lot higher in quality. But the fact that I guess a lot of the console gamers don't know that these mods exist, they probably just purchased it off the store, Bethesda's inferior version. For what it's worth, it was announced on this Creation Club page, which is supposed to be celebrating, I think, the 2-year anniversary of Bethesda finally finding a way to monetize mods, that besides this Fallout 3 nostalgia, Bethesda was also doing the same with Skyrim by announcing an adventure which includes the protagonist Cyrus of, I believe, the Elder Scrolls Adventures Redguard, and then even some Shivering Isles nostalgia. So this really could be just the beginning, and I'm telling you, the price tag won't be a few dollars for any of this content. Never has been, never will be. So to wrap all of this up, Bethesda really has been doubling down on monetization. With Fallout 76, I really do think we're going to see more utility items and maybe even more weapons in the future. We've seen some publishers just ignore anger, one of those being Activision and also Electronic Arts. They do that particularly with their Call of Duty and sports franchises, and I really do wonder if Bethesda's just going to ignore people. They've already done it with Fallout 76 by implementing these utility items, and now here we are again. And it just makes me question how Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6 will be treated. There's a lot of concerns that are being raised, and they're being rightfully raised. But what do you guys make of all the macrotransactions that have been implemented into Fallout 76? And what do you make of Bethesda's decision to start selling some larger pieces of content in Fallout 4 and Skyrim? Again, I don't see it necessarily as an issue, although I do feel the pricing is absurd. That's always been an issue, and Bethesda's just kind of ignored it. But yeah, what do you guys make of all of this? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or found any informative value. Make sure to follow my other social media accounts for updates on new videos. Links are always down in the description below. I'm most active on Twitter, giving opinions on news that I do not always get into video form, so do make sure to follow me over there. Also check out my Discord for all sorts of discussion on games. And again, thank you for joining. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.